My ex-GF was cheating on me with her gay best friend. I'm 23 male, still trying to wrap my head around how it all went down. My now ex-girlfriend, Bree 22 female, and I were together for 3 years, living in a small apartment that we were making our home. Things seemed fine, at least I thought they were. Then there was Tommy. Let's call him Tommy, though I can't say his name without getting pissed anymore. He was her best friend from work, where they both waited tables at Olive Garden. He was supposedly gay. At first, I didn't question it. Hell, I thought he was harmless. His whole vibe screamed it: tight crop tops, eyeliner, those overly flirtatious glances he'd shoot at me whenever we crossed paths. Tommy practically lived at our apartment. He was there so much, he may as well have been paying rent. It became routine. I'd come home from long, grueling shifts, and there he'd be, lounging on our couch, sometimes in some ridiculous crop top or skirt, other times in thongs he made no effort to hide. The guy even slept over more than a few times, crashing on our couch like it was his. Looking back, it all seems so obvious, but at the time, I brushed it off. He's gay, right? What did I have to worry about? One night, after a brutal 11-hour shift, I came home later than usual. I was exhausted, ready to crash, but as soon as I walked in, something felt off. There they were, Bree lying in Tommy's arms on the couch, like they'd just had the most intimate night of their lives. They both froze the second I stepped through the door. Tommy had this weird, guilty look, his face blank and pale, sweat glistening on his forehead. Bree, on the other hand, had this terrified expression, like she'd been caught red-handed, which in hindsight, she had, but I couldn't place it at the time, though. I mean, Tommy was gay, right? I shook it off, didn't want to start anything. I was dead tired, after all. Why would I be worried? I grabbed a shower, trying to shake off the day, but something kept gnawing at me. The way Bree had looked at me, like she'd seen a ghost, and the way Tommy avoided my gaze like he was ashamed. And then it hit me, the smell. The second I walked into the bedroom, it was unmistakable. That heavy, musky smell of sex. The kind you can't hide, no matter how hard you try. My stomach dropped. I just knew. I didn't even have the energy to scream or throw a fit. I wrapped myself in a towel, stormed back into the living room, and there she was, Bree, already crying like she knew exactly what I'd figured out. I stared at her for a long moment, so calm it was unsettling, and simply told her to pack her stuff and leave. I wanted her out in an hour. That's when she lost it. She went off, accusing me of cheating on her, claiming I'd come home late because I was with other girls. I stood there in disbelief, tossed her my phone, and told her to prove it. She couldn't, of course. She knew she was full of it, just grasping at anything to shift the blame, make herself feel less guilty. She broke down sobbing, apologizing over and over again, but I wasn't having it. I packed her bags myself. The whole time she kept pleading, telling me it was a mistake, that she and Tommy had only been hooking up for a few weeks. I couldn't listen to her excuses. My heart was shattered, but at the same time, there was this sick, twisted part of me that just wanted to laugh at how pathetic it all was. Tommy, her gay best friend, of all people. After I had her bags ready, I finally told her we were done, finished. She begged me for a second chance, saying she wouldn't see Tommy anymore, but how could I ever trust her again? I called her an Uber and helped load her stuff into it, all while she was crying and trying to convince me that this didn't have to be the end. As much as her words irritated me, I kept my mouth shut. I didn't have the energy for it anymore. The second she left, I blocked her number. I knew her well enough to know she'd twist the story with her mum, who texted me later asking what happened. I didn't bother explaining. I just told her to talk to Bree and blocked her too. It's been 2 years since then. Bree's still lurking on my social media, always watching my stories like some kind of ghost from my past. She's probably trying to see if I'm miserable without her, but joke's on her. I've been working out, got in the best shape of my life and focusing on myself. I'm still single, but I'm happy. I've moved on, but sometimes, when I see her pop up in my notifications, I can't help but feel a twinge of anger. I wasted 3 years of my life with someone who couldn't even be honest with me. And the kicker, she threw it all away for a guy who couldn't even decide what he wanted to be. Next story. My wife confessed 4 weeks after giving birth that she cheated on me 3 months into our marriage. So, my wife confessed to cheating on me and I don't know what to do. She confessed to me that roughly 2 to 3 months after we got married, she cheated on me with one of her exes. She says it was only hand stuff, but how can I believe that? She tells me this just 4 weeks after giving birth to our first child and I'm torn. On top of that, the timeline has me concerned if this kid is even mine. I've ordered a paternity test without her knowing. It comes in tomorrow, but I'm truly scared. I currently want to try and work on things only for our child. If we didn't have him, I would end it right away. I am severely depressed from this and hate myself because I still love her, but equally hate her at the same time. I keep trying to mask my depression and act like I'm okay, but I'm not. I've done everything for this woman. I've pushed myself in my career to make enough for her dream to be a stay-at-home mom. We're planning on relocating across the country to be closer to some of her family. I've bought her a car. I never buy myself anything and give her anything she wants, asks for, and this is how she repays me. Does anyone who's been through something like this have any thoughts, opinions? I'm slowly starting to consider a divorce, but the court will likely give her majority custody because she's his mom. But she currently has no job and will have to live with her parents, which just overall wouldn't be best for our kid. My thought is he would be best with both of us in the house, even if it means I have to suffer for 18 years until he can move out on his own thoughts. Edit. It's only been a few minutes, but thank you to everyone who has posted their thoughts and opinions. It helps me more than you know. I haven't been able to talk to anyone about this and have been feeling so alone. A little more information. I'm only 25. She's 24. I know I have a long life ahead to recover from this. It's just so hard to see that far. I want to be happy, I just don't see how no matter what option I choose. She also has threatened to unalive herself if I were to leave her, which scares me to death in so many different ways. Update. If you haven't read the original post, you can find it on my profile. It's my only post besides this one. Thank you again to all who have messaged me or comment on the original post. A lot of you have provided great insight and thoughts on my situation, and I greatly appreciate it. I want to start out by saying Maury Povich voice, the DNA results are in. In the case of not putting the child's name, you are the father. I never really had any doubts of this. He literally looks like a spitting image of me. But I needed the sanity check. As far as our relationship, that's still up in the air. Currently, I have a therapy appointment tomorrow to discuss further about my own thoughts and emotions that I hope to eventually turn into a couples therapy. This honestly is mainly for our child's sake, but ultimately, I do still love her, even though I do slightly have distaste. It's something I'm will to at least try to work though. One suggestion that came from one of you that I intend to speak with her once we start the couples therapy is I want to have a postnatal agreement in order to continue the marriage. This is something that I feel pretty strongly about, and if she has any opposition, especially at this point, then it will really make me question her true values of the marriage. Further information that wasn't previously disclosed. I'm not saying this to defend her, but this is a factor in the situation. I have noticed over the last 2 years, also that I have had a decreased sex drive. I've noticed it getting a little worse and have found that I have a very small microadenoma tumor in my pituitary gland brain. This is likely causing this decreased sex drive, and I fear ultimately may have been a cause for this situation. I'm not saying it validates it by any means, especially with it being just a few months after we vowed through thick and thin. Again, I wanted to thank everyone for your support, and I hope none of you have to experience anything that I've been through recently.